It's chilly tonight. It is definitely chilly tonight. Let me get these mics. I don't even know if the mic is on. Let's see. It's chilly tonight. Mic on? Okay. Ooh, it's a little loud. And I can hear this too. Okay, well, we got these cords all over the place. My fault, y'all. I do this too often to continue to make the same decision to not get situated before I start. All right, we are live from Occupy City Hall in Rockford, Illinois. Okay. Live from Occupy City Hall. Live from Occupy City Hall in Rockford, Illinois. I have a shirt here. The call for you. In the hoodie, and the hoodie's coming soon too. But the shirt is here. Okay. All right, that's separate from what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, we are live from Occupy City Hall in Rockford, Illinois. I want to point this out too. This is something that's new that we're doing. Anybody who's watching this, if you are out and about, roaming the streets, this is the live from Occupy. This is the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet. This is not the live from Occupy City Hall pamphlet. But I think that's a good idea to have a live from City Hall pamphlet. Anyways, this is the history of the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet. As we are doing this live outside of City Hall, we will be anybody who pulls up or is in the area, come by and we will give one of these to you or give multiple of these to you. Again, this is about the multiple cases of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice which have taken place in the city of Rockford, Illinois. My name is Leslie Roth. I am an organizer with the May 30th Alliance. My name is, he passed by a few times, I think. I don't know if it's a friendly pass or a multiple pass by or unfriendly.
It's a cab, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's true. It's Zippy. I don't think the Zippy's been real good. I think we got a good rapport with Zippy. They give us love when they come by. They give us love when they come by.
Nobody's green. That's black or white.
Okay. This has been a rough introduction here. Sorry about that, y'all. That's my fault. Okay. So we have these pamphlets here. So if anybody is in the area, come by, grab one of these pamphlets. And we have a new pamphlet coming soon, hopefully by the end of this month. Okay. We are live from Occupy City Hall in Rockford, Illinois. We are outside of the City Hall in Rockford, Illinois, because on October 2nd, 2020, Tyrus Jones was shot by Rockford Police Department officer Dominic McNeese while he was running away. He was an unarmed black man. 2 months after the shooting of Tyrus Jones, 2 months after the attempted murder of Tyrus Jones was shot upwards of three times, shot multiple times in the back. The officer who shot Tyrus Jones was found to be justified in the shooting of Tyrus Jones. That officer was sent back to work, and within 2 months of being back at work, he participated in the assault of Denzel Duvant, an unarmed black man who was beat while handcuffed in the custody of the Rockford Police Department on January 5th, 2021, in Rockford, Illinois. We stayed here. The protest and the demonstration and the occupation of City Hall continued throughout those things happening because it was clear that this issue was one that could not be allowed to take even a small step back from the consciousness and from the forefront of this city's consciousness. So we continued to occupy City Hall, and after Denzel Duvant was beat, we put a picture of the horrific mugshot of Denzel Duvant in front of City Hall, so that way everybody who passes by this busy intersection in downtown Rockford, Illinois, which has been described by the mayor of the city as the heart of the city, can see the scars of Denzel Duvant and can see the picture of Denzel Duvant epitomizes what it is that the black community has gone through in this city and in this county. So the occupation continued through that. Then on April 10th, Faustin Guaitigo was murdered inside of his home by Winnebago County Sheriff Deputy Joseph Brula. And I got this mic up too high too, my fault. Let me turn that down some. Damn. Y'all probably had to turn y'all volume low. My fault. I'm gonna have to readjust y'all volume. I was too damn loud. My fault. See, that's why I should have got everything straight beforehand. Okay. Oh, now I'm messing it up. Okay. Hopefully that audio's still good and I sound less loud. Okay, and then we stayed here through April 11th, 2021. Okay, and then after Faustin Guetigo was killed on April 10th, 2021, inside of his home by Winnebago County Sheriff Deputy Joseph Brulard. Then on April 11th, not even 24 hours later, Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot while running away by Officer Dominic McNeese of the Rockford Police Department. And the occupation has continued through those things. As it stands, the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force, which is what this pamphlet is about, the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force has just recently closed its investigation into the shooting of Jose Gonzalez Jr. and into the murder of Faustin Guetigo. And so we sit now and await what the findings of that investigation are, and we wait for the state's attorney to have a press conference speaking on the results of the grand jury that has taken place surrounding them. So if anybody is watching this and you need something to caption this with when you share it, you can caption it with hashtag Justice for Tyrus, Justice for Tyrus Jones, or a hashtag Justice for Denzel, Justice for Denzel Duvant, hashtag Justice for Jose Gonzalez Jr., Justice for Jose, hashtag Justice for Faustin, hashtag Justice for Faustin Guetigo. Also, we live in a city in which repeatedly people have died because of car chases that have ensued in this city. And this year we have had another one of those incidents occur in which Raymond Jackson died during a car chase which Raymond Jackson died during a car chase within Rockford, Illinois. And so we want to, and that case is also being investigated by the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force. And so we want to say justice for Raymond Jackson. Okay, so it's Wednesday now, but Tuesday just passed. So we went and we participated in Food Truck Tuesday. I'm just gonna share this. I'm gonna get on my phone and share this as well as we going through. My fault, y'all. So Food Truck Tuesday was today. That was the main event that took place. May 30th Alliance has on a regular basis this spring, and this is something that we've done now for a second year, for 2 years. We have gone to Mississippi Park where they have Food Truck Tuesday at. We have gone there and this year we have gone there with the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet and have passed that out to people as they were passing by, passed that out to people who have been interested. We also have came there with the live setup, with the mic setup, and we have been reading excerpts out of the history of the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force, and then also speaking about some of the issues that have taken place, within Rockford, Illinois, surrounding the police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. And so, give me 1 second. I don't want people to think that I'm like in the midst of some type of side conversation or something while I'm on my phone. I'm really just going to share this. I'm just going May 30th Alliance page. Go like the May 30th Alliance page on Facebook if you haven't yet. Okay, here we go. Sharing this live. All right, live shared. Okay, so we went to Food Truck Tuesday in the evening and passed out pamphlets and spoke about the issues around police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. And again, one of the things we are going to do is have these pamphlets out here. So if you're just passing by downtown City Hall, ask us for one of these pamphlets. If you're walking by, whatever, ask for one of these pamphlets. And then we have Kay is here with us today for another member of the May 30th Alliance. As we do this live, I want to encourage people to listen to the podcast from the May 30th Alliance. I want to encourage people to go subscribe to the YouTube from the May 30th Alliance. And again, we are trying our best to be a platform that can have on-demand information about the issues of police terrorism, racial injustice, mass incarceration, and racial injustice in the city of Rockford. One of the things that we spoke about earlier today that I'm not sure if Kay was able to hear. Did you see the live that we did earlier today? You can use that mic over there too. Yeah, this is what we'll do. We'll use this. We did a live earlier today. They put out the Juneteenth, the lineup for Juneteenth. Were you able to see that? Did you see this at all? Go ahead. Speak it to that. Let's see how that sounds. We got Kay here. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. Go ahead. Introduce yourself real quick. Get you.
Again, I go by Kay.
Oh, you might have to. Is it on?
Check.
Say it. Go ahead. Speak.
Check.
Okay, there we go.
Again, I go by Kay.
Okay, go ahead.
Out here,
You might have to put that a little bit.
I am
Yeah, you're gonna put that close.
one of the protesters here locally in Rockford, Illinois. But I don't like only being defined as a protester. I'm a social activist. I'm also a minister. Also a public speaker. I take this the circumstance that Rockford is in regards to racial injustice, police brutality. I do take it very personally as far as my stance at this point in history on a national level, on a local level, in regards to all that we're dealing with as a nation. Rockford isn't exempt from any of this, any of this that's going on right now in America, and I don't think it takes millions and millions of people to make a point, or millions of people to take a stand, and that's where we're at in this city. Everyone has their reasons for standing up for justice, standing against inequality, corruption, racial injustice, police brutality, racial profiling, and just like there are people that are passionate to stand, there are those that are silent, and it's my personal hope that those that have remained silent or choose silence, that they find a reason within their own selves to step outside themselves and focus on the bigger picture, how it impacts a city, how it impacts a society, how it impacts community, how there's a ripple effect. Iniquity tolerated against one person or one group is an injustice to everyone.
Yeah. Not to cut you off, but I think we got everybody out there that's listening. Just let us know that. Make sure this audio is right. I'm sorry, I keep adjusting this mic.
This one sounds okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think we.
I don't think.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's the feedback if they get close. I think.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna try to keep this one away from that.
Oh, okay. If these two get close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the speaker's so close to it.
Okay. But again, just let us know how this is sounding. Okay, this is what I want to do. So you said you weren't able to see the live or see this post, this graphic.
No.
Okay, so let's let you see what this is looking like. I want you.
And again, I know this is what, my third live.
Yeah, I think it's.
Again, as my background, I am a public speaker. I am a social activist. Being defined as a protester alone is not enough to describe my invested interest. I protested, and I protest to draw attention and awareness to the social ills of the city, which is what protesting does. But as a social activist, there are also other aspects where you target laws to be changed, struck down. You also target lawsuits, whether they be class action, or you advocate for other people's laws. If they have suits, you advocate for their justice on a personal level. So I would say that my position with all of this is very multifaceted, and it's broadening day by day.
Well, let me let's dive into what we had happen here or what we spoke about earlier today.
Okay.
So the Juneteenth event is taking place in the city this weekend, and Juneteenth is this weekend. And so this was the graphic that we spoke about the most earlier today. I'll just go ahead and show that graphic to people again. And again, this is not an attack. It's to have a dialogue. It's to have a discourse. That's what we're here for. And so I found it very... I found it very hypocritical for on the bottom of a Juneteenth flyer to see this. The city of Rockford. When the city of Rockford is tearing down memorials of black people who have been murdered, black people who were victims of oppression. Again, down here it says Friends of Thomas McNamara as supporters. It says Winnebago County Board Chairman Joe Chiarelli on the bottom of the Juneteenth event.
Well,
these are white men on the bottom of the Juneteenth event.
Trying to get on any aspect of this.
What is your thoughts about that initially? Seeing those men,
is black folks talking about freedoms. Rockford is definitely not is that a progressive city by any means when it comes to race?
Yeah, let's we use this mic. I think that we gotta get this mic.
I don't believe that Rockford by any means is cutting edge as far as its race relations. Rockford is ranks ninth in the nation as far as worst cities for black people to be upwardly mobile. So that's very telling. It's a very, very divided city upon racial lines, economic lines. It's blatantly segregated on an economic level, and for those economic segregation to be entrenched, it is political, it is social, and it is economic. It's something that has to be perpetuated. It's not a natural circumstance. It's perpetuated through how Rockford functions and runs itself.
One of the things that go ahead, you'll finish.
In regards to seeing the city at the bottom of that, I think it's very. I don't even think hypocritical is the word that I would use, because gauging on a national level, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Gauging on a national level, you got Minneapolis, Portland, Rochester, New York, Buffalo, New York, right? Major cities, and other cities that I didn't mention, that had immediate responses to the protesting, where the police force was brought to task by the city, either through lawsuits or through the communities, the people of color in the black community saying, this is not our opinion or some circumstance of us just speaking based on feelings. We are talking statistics, and you are statistically oppressing your black and brown skin groups in your cities. So in certain, even in this area, there were a couple smaller towns that actually had immediate responses to reform, and it wasn't just tokenism. Like, some cities had major sweeping changes. Rockford is very, very telling in regards to the police force. They've never publicly said anything since May 30th. Have said nothing about the events of last year. Have said nothing of their self-felt justification of police brutality and excessive force. And it's extremely telling. Even to this day, they've never discussed anything. I think the crown jewel for the mayor for the year was the mental health liaison that goes on those calls. But again, here we are sitting here with 5 shootings after January 1st. And this is my perspective. I'm wearing 2 hats. I'm wearing one as a protester, but I'm wearing one as a social activist by going into City Hall. For many of you that may not know this, I go into City Hall on Monday evenings at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6:30. I'm there in the council meetings. I sit there. I listen. I also work in another capacity with the city as far as other meetings. So I'm out here, and I'm out here 100%. But I'm so heavily invested that I need to know at every move, at every step, where the money's being spent in the city, how they're weaponizing dollars against the black community, the brown community. So to see the city at the bottom of this page, I take it personally as a slap in the face. Now, the black community may disagree, but during all of this, and any black person that was out here protesting could attest, there was no significant show of a cross-section of black activism as far as the city. There was no major group here. There was no so as far as social activists, there were some, but by and large, it's basically what you're tuning into now. Everyone knows this, and everyone has accepted that. There was no major force from any black ministry in this area, in this region, or in Rockford. For whatever reason, and I'm not putting them on blast, but the NAACP was silent during all of the protests. Right. Literally, during the entire process, they were completely silent. When in other areas of the nation, they did speak. They did have a platform, because even if you didn't want to talk about local events, they used George Floyd as a sounding board for those local communities. Again, I'm not putting them on blast here because I don't know the details, but I do know it was spoken of a lot last year, and it's still being spoken of that they did not speak. So as far as the irony of Juneteenth, the Juneteenth festival here in Rockford, how can you? And I'm not dogging these people who are putting this together, so I don't want people to say, "Oh, why are you beating them down?" I'm not. This is an observation as a black man in America, as a social activist, as a protester, as a minister. This is my observation. How can you talk about freedom when we're talking about freedom? We are talking about freedom right now, about how the RPD polices the black community in Rockford, about how the Justice Center is a portion of Rockford's revenue comes from the Justice Center, how they monetize black lives, how that side of the bridge is completely disenfranchised. There's no federal dollars coming in. There's no advocacy from the city hall to advocate for millions of dollars directly to the impacted city, the African American community. There's the cannabis funding, but that's something completely separate. The mayor's administration could easily be advocating for $20-50 million for the entire black and Latino community, but that's not being done. So I do, on a personal level, the simplest answer I can give, I take it as a slap in the face, because the city has not pushed the Parks Department, the Sheriff's Department, or RPD for any reform. Not that reform is the answer, but the city has not taken the police force to task as has been done in other parts of the country after George Floyd.
Oh yeah, that's something that 100% agree with, and I think those are all very poignant points. And again, that's what we wanted to. We had a dialogue about this earlier, but we want to continue this dialogue throughout the week with different members of the organization, and with getting different people's perspectives and vantage points on some of these things. And so, Kay sort of focused in on there on the hypocrisies of some of the actions of the city of Rockford when it comes to what is currently the cause of the lack of black liberation, which is police terrorism, racial injustice, and mass incarceration. He spoke to the lack of action when it comes to trying to end those forms of oppression by the city of Rockford government, by the county, the Winnebago County government, by Thomas McNamara, and by Joe Chiarelli. But they are fine to come out here and celebrate the ending of a former version of oppression, which was the physical bondage that our ancestors dealt with.
And even to a point that in itself is also erroneous, because the 13th Amendment, anyone that can read this, and I'm not talking about a fairy tale written in American whitewashed history books. Abraham Lincoln freed the Southern slaves. He did the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay, go ahead.
Emancipation Proclamation was literally to free the slaves of the South. The black fighters during this during the Civil War, they were not free men. They were slaves that were told to fight for the North. Abraham Lincoln was very divisive with what he did because he wanted to sacrifice leverage for the sake of gaining all of the country. They did not want to split. So he freed the slaves of the South. Why? People say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, the South is trying to annex itself from the country. It's trying to set up a separate nation. America was one nation, and that was the focus. So they were very divisive by freeing the slaves of the South. Why? Once they're free, where are they going? To the North. So they were saying, well, come up to the North. Fight with us. Then if you do your research, you'll see the 13th Amendment allows slavery. It doesn't say like slavery in quotes or almost like. It allows slavery upon conviction. If you are convicted of a crime, you are a slave in America. This is not it's not a reference to being slave-like. It is saying it is the only form of slavery legally allowed and acknowledged in America is the penal system. So even with Juneteenth, we were free from a specific type of slavery, but so long as the 13th Amendment exists in America, we are more enslaved than, picture this one, we're more enslaved than people in Africa. Because their liberation, after their liberation of apartheid, there is no 13th Amendment. They're free.
Right. No, yeah, I think that it's important that as we're speaking about these things, that we do try to cross-reference them with other pieces of information and try to unravel the layers behind a lot of these things. And so, I think that that's an important vantage point, an important perspective. Another thing that was on here that struck me as disturbing was. Let's just go through we'll go through the order of events. Black graduation with conscious coaching at 1 o'clock, Tony Turner, 1 o'clock p.m. Juneteenth, 1865, welcome by Tommy Meeks at 3 o'clock p.m. Escape live music at 3:05 p.m. Team panel hosted by Cameron Muhammad at 3:35 p.m. Discussion with NBA Bulls player and three-pointer record holder Craig Hodges at 4 o'clock p.m. Cash giveaways at 4:25 p.m. Flora Cousins at 4:30 p.m. Live music at 4:45 p.m. Live music gospel at 5:20 p.m. Well, let me just get through here real quick. Live music rapper Terry Hart at 6 o'clock p.m. Diamond earring giveaway at 6:10 p.m. Dorothy Page at 6:20 p.m. Author Dr. Apostle Charlene Knight at 6:40 p.m. Juneteenth Community Awards at 6:45 p.m. Live music at Soul Review 7 o'clock p.m. Trip giveaway at 7:40 p.m. Live music Too Deep at 8 o'clock p.m. Plus trip giveaway winner's choice to Miami or Denver. And again, I want to and then at the bottom it says cash prices throughout the event and food and retail vendors all day. Again, I just want to point out some things. That when we have I think with an understanding of stereotypes and how stereotypes work and why stereotypes are what they are and why they are perpetuated in the manner in which they are, we have to start to as a community not allow ourselves to give in to stereotypes that don't need to be perpetuated, give in to stereotypes, especially actions that are that have negative connotations. And so at a Juneteenth event where liberation is being celebrated, or liberation is supposed to be being celebrated, or liberation is being taught, or a form of struggle for liberation is being taught. And again, one of the things Antar pointed out is that we must remember that Juneteenth was not just the roundabout freeing of slaves. It was the federal government, federal officers having to go into the areas in the South and force these southern local governments to free these slaves. It was the last city in which these federal officers went and forced these local places to stop, local governments to stop enslaving citizens. And so, with all of those things being said, we live in a time now in which black people are, and these are political decisions. It's a political it's a political decision that black people are said to be athletes, or are positioned to be athletes, or that black children and black teenagers are told to pursue athletics. That's a political decision that happens. So then and this is a political event because at the bottom of it is political sponsors. So when you have a political event and then you put a basketball player as one of the headliners, it perpetuates that stereotype, and it perpetuates that political decision. And then you can't blame kids when they're trying to be athletes. And then you tell them, everybody can't be Michael Jordan, everybody can't be Derrick Rose, everybody can't be Craig Hodges. But then at the Juneteenth event, in which you could be celebrating or educating about people who are not Michael Jordan or Craig Hodges or basketball players, you choose to highlight the three-point record holder. And then again with the cash giveaways, we have to get to a place where money is not at the core of the value system. Money was at the core of the value system of the people who enslaved our ancestors, not at the core of the value system of our ancestors. Money was at the core of the value system for the people who perpetuated segregation onto our ancestors, not at the core of the value system of our ancestors who were dealing with the segregation. At least not the masses of them. And so, what's some of your thoughts about the lineup? I'll let you chime in on that.
Yeah. I didn't see in anything that you read. I didn't hear about any Fortune 500 black business. I didn't hear about any author, business builder on a national level that was coming to speak and talk to black people on how to be self-sufficient as a community.
I want to say too. I mean, not to cut you off on that note, but even within that, again, we want to remember what the event is. So even those things wouldn't even, that would be going back into the same some of the same concepts. In fact, Well,
I'm bringing that up on the level of when people talk about Black Wall Street. What made that city so effective is they had their own black bank, they had their own black school, they had their own black grocery store, and they had their own black hospital. They didn't do these things. Black Wall Street was just one of many cities in America that was burned down by surrounding white neighborhoods that were doing worse. But the black community basically was self-sufficient through necessity. Now, this is post-slavery. They basically had to build their own because no one wanted to work with them. White banks didn't want to work with them. They didn't want to lend the money. White institutions basically ostracized them. So it wasn't them saying, we're just going to go off and do our own and forget everyone else and we're going to be an island. They said, because we're ostracized, we will do this independent. And when they began to flourish, and in many cases out-flourish the surrounding cities, that's where the animosity came. But that's why I was bringing up, as far as on the finances, not so much a capitalistic concept, but economics on the level of self-sufficiency. Asian communities are not demonized in America by saying, well, why are you dealing heavily with your own kind? No one ostracizes the Jewish community for basically being a Jewish community and economically dealing with one another. But anytime in America, and this is national, anytime black people talk about self-sufficiency, it gets this black, pro-black, but on a negative level, pro-black, anti-white trope, which is false because people don't say that about Asians. They don't say that about Jews. They don't say that about Latinos. But the moment that you have black people talking about building their own communities, like Rockford is a huge example of not really having an economic framework within this community. There are a lot of food deserts in Rockford. They don't have major grocery stores, and the ones that are there are obviously chains. They're not black owned. The gas stations are not black owned. Where are the black corner stores? The places that sell the hair care products, where are they at? Who owns them? They're mainly, and I'm not anti-Asian. I'm just making a point. The black community, such as other places in America, its economic structure is not owned by the black people that patronize the businesses. But yet you go to the communities in other areas, they are self-sufficient. I think and that's why I made that a point. That as an example, they showed a basketball player. The odds of any black child or anyone in America becoming a basketball player are almost literally 1 in a million. But yet, no one saw fit to bring in any black business representatives or black bankers to say, well, this is how you start a 401k, or this is how you start a savings account.
Right.
Teach them while they're young. You never said out of that lineup anything like that. And that is very telling as far as what's considered important in Rockford.
Yeah, I do. And again, and again, this is why we have different perspectives, and this is why we're having the dialogue and the vantage point. I do think that it is important that we use this day to try to educate about the current forms of struggling for liberation that is going on, And again, Antar brought up the point of they said nationally that the reason that the prominence that Juneteenth has gotten within this year and last year is because of the protests surrounding the murder of George Floyd. And so it's important that we understand that the current struggle for liberation is a struggle against police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice, and that struggle, and that struggle will fill, informing people of that struggle will fill up Juneteenth. And informing people of that struggle with something that they aren't going to get on other days specifically, and that day is not catered towards specifically, and is a lot of the things that's sort of on this lineup that on other days those things, and at other times those things can be there and are pushed to the forefront. Cash prizes, money is pushed to the forefront. Diamond earring prizes, money is pushed to the forefront. And the struggle, just the struggle in general is not being mentioned, is not being pushed. And so that is what I think is one of the things that I think is important for us as a direct action organization that is deeply rooted in the struggle to end police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. And that struggle is the main version of the struggle for black liberation in 2021. It's incumbent upon us to speak about this event and the lineup of the event, specifically, too, because it has the city of Rockford government at the bottom of it. Absolutely. Specifically, too, because it has the Thomas McNamara's name in the bottom of it, even if it says Friends of Thomas McNamara and not just Thomas McNamara solely, because it has Winnebago County Board Joe Chiarelli on it. It doesn't just say Joe Chiarelli or County Board Chairman Joe Chiarelli. It says Winnebago County Board Chairman Joe Chiarelli. If you pay for space, if you pay for wordage, that's letting you know he the one who paid the most money for that space down there. And again, it's on all types of days in which the white people can be the sponsors, or the people who are mentioned at the bottom, or notable people at the bottom who support it or whatever. It doesn't have to be on Juneteenth. It doesn't have to be on the Juneteenth event, and so what's your, let me ask you, because again, this may be just my personal perspective or whatever, but Florida is a state that has passed anti-protesting laws. It's historically known one of the most racist states, one of the most prejudiced states in this country. Trayvon Martin was murdered in Florida. Jordan Davis murdered in Florida. The list that goes on. What is your thoughts of at Juneteenth giving away tickets to Miami, Florida as a and again, I understand that people like Miami, people love Miami, people love Wade. Dade County, which is nicknamed Wade County, Miami Heat. I love the Heatos and LeBron James and all that too. What was your thoughts about that? What's some of your thoughts on that?
I think whoever helped organize this basically made it. You could have superimposed this Juneteenth on any given holiday, festival, season of the year. You could have literally took Juneteenth off of it, and it would have fit any Mother's Day, Father's Day, Veterans Day, Memorial's Day, 4th of July. It would have fit anything as far as just something to put together as far as the structure of it in general terms. And the reason why I say that is Florida as an example, and then you look at other cities, cause and effect. The insurrection at the Capitol building, 200 predominantly, geographically or referenced, roughly 200 white people were angry enough to storm that building. And then people say, okay, so what does that mean? Look at the immediate response from the Republican Party and what was getting passed in certain states. We had immediate voter suppression in multiple states. So there's a direct cause and effect. The people that stormed the Capitol represented a certain party, had a certain ideology, still have a certain ideology as a people. They may be Americans, but the point is they had an ideology, and it caused them to act out.
Right.
Based on their actions, there was a reaction through voting, which if something's being voted in, it's because it represents a certain fundamental belief of a core group that ends up being the majority so that it can get voted in. So voter suppression, obviously in those states, it passed because that was a large belief of people in those areas. Right. And I'm saying that because for this Juneteenth to not even speak about protesting in general, to me that speaks volumes to the fact that Rockford, even on a minority level, really wasn't trying to speak as a city during George Floyd. Right. You had social activists and protesters in the city speaking about it, but you had very little substantive speech on a larger scale by the black community in this city. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. So to talk about what that means now, there's no context to George Floyd or any political aspects of political gains, or what are we doing now, or where do we go from here? That's all non-existent. But when you look at the structure, the foundation of the names that you showed me, all I keep thinking is, well, if they're the ones involved with putting it together, the context of what it is basically going to be built on who's helping to organize it.
No, that's 100% true. We got to this live from Occupy City Hall a little bit late this evening, or I guess this night. So we're going to end up wrapping it up here. We're about 1:36, almost at 2:00 in the morning. We had Food Truck Tuesday today, so that was a busy day. A lot compacted into this day, but we want to again remind people that on Friday we will have City Market at 4:00 p.m. Come downtown to City Market, downtown Rockford, Illinois. Again, we have the Winnebago. Yeah, we're gonna grab one. You can put it up too. We have the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet down here at City Hall. Again, we're occupying City Hall. It's always a member of the organization here. You can always come here and get this pamphlet and read this pamphlet. And this is the first step to truly getting informed about the issues of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice in the city of Rockford, Illinois. And I want to please share this live. I want to end it the way we've been consistently ending the live from Occupy City Halls, and that's by saying justice for Logan Bell, justice for Kerry Blake, justice for Geno Washington, justice for Mark Barmore, justice for Philip Babler, justice for justice for Suzette Babler, justice for Philip Johnson, justice for Jasper Banks, justice for Demetrius Bennett, justice for Jovan Fresco, justice for Joseph McCormick, justice for Lil Mike Sago Jr., justice for Mikey Guzman, justice for Eddie Patterson, justice for Shannon Graves, justice for Faustin Guaitigo, justice for Jose Gonzalez Jr., justice for Denzel Duvant. justice for Tyrus Jones, justice for the victims of City Market 2020, and justice for May 30th. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Just as a closing point again, and I said this in one of the other lives, and for those that may be confused or wondering, well, why is he talking so much of what people didn't do in Rockford on a social activist level, or whether it be ministry or different organizations? Why? Because of this one point. I made this statement before, and I'm going to keep making this statement until people understand what the weight of this. The world looked at America during the protests, and this is a report that came out on an international level. Other nations around the world look at how America polices its black and brown communities, and they have made a statement and declared that it is crimes against humanity. Now, the fact that you have nations around the world, not just one, not just two, nations around the world saying the entire police structure in America, the way that it's designed and the way that it operates in the black and brown communities, those are crimes against humanity. This is not about someone's opinion. It's not about my opinion or what I think or what he thinks. I'm talking about nations saying, based on the guidelines of what they consider crimes against humanity, the same guidelines that have caused America to drop bombs on other nations, they're saying it's happening in our streets in America. So that's the point that I wanted to leave this on, so that people don't think that I'm on some kind of weird rant or that I'm making it this personal off the top. It's not. I'm speaking based on the fact of the matter. We're talking about crimes against humanity.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Again, we're live from Occupy City Hall. We're gonna end this one the way that we end them all. We outside.